This look is a vibe. I feel like a mobster on vacation. And I like that. So hello weirdos, welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe, and today we are talking about my TBR for the Queer Lit Readathon round 11. I was so nervous that I thought I missed like the cutoff for this or whatever, and I was looking at it today and I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness I did not. A little bit about this readathon is that it is hosted by 3 people. You have Kathy and Rogan. They are the people who normally do this, and they usually have a guest judge every single round, and this guest judge this time is Rachel. And they have chosen 16 prompts. There is a bingo board. Maybe I will put it here if I remember. And usually I restrict the books that I choose to books that I own, but I didn't do that this time. Although I probably could have, but I didn't. So there are 3 books that I have chosen that I do not currently own. 2 of them are arriving tomorrow as of the filming of this, and 1 of them I have yet to acquire. But let's just get into it. So the very first book, first prompt is a banned book, and for this I chose This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson, and I was going to choose this one, What's the Tea, but I couldn't. That is also by Juno Dawson, but I haven't seen this one challenged, or at least haven't seen records of this challenge. I thought that going with This Book is Gay is a good one because I want to read it, because if you do not know, I'm a teacher, I am also queer. I'm a trans bisexual person. More specifically, I'm a non-binary bisexual teacher. I have a bookshelf in my classroom. It's not really a bookshelf, it's more of a table that I put books on. In this table I have a bunch of computer science textbooks because I teach computer science. And I also have queer literature, and specifically like educational, informative literature I keep there as well, for the benefit of my students to peruse. And so the one thing that I do is I always vet and read everything that I put on this table, and I haven't gotten to What's the Tea yet, and I keep meaning to pick up and find a copy of This Book is Gay for that exact purpose. So this would be a great opportunity for me to read this book, and then I can actually put it in my classroom, but I haven't done that yet. The next book is the group book, and there's 2 options, but the option that I have gone with is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, and this is another book where I want to do something similar, leave it in my classroom. This is a memoir about, I think he is African American, I'm not entirely sure, queer child. It's about them growing up, and I don't really know much more than that. I see this book recommended all sorts of places, but this one and This Book is Gay are both books that I have coming to me eventually tomorrow. But I was lazy and did not want to delay filming this video because I need to do it. I need to film this video or I will forget. The next book that I chose, or the next prompt, is Trans Joy. I really appreciate this prompt because we need some trans joy recently. I also, one of my responsibilities at work is to run the trans affinity group, which I've been working with, but not in any official capacity, and it's just nice to see that, especially because a lot of those meetings and a lot of the conversations I've had with my fellow trans educators are just very, very depressing and very sad. So anyway, the book that I will be reading, hopefully will be reading, is a book that I am really excited about, and when I purchased it, was really excited about and just have not gotten around to that, and that is A Lady for a Duke. This is a historical romance that involves a trans woman, and I'm super excited, and I just love to see this representation. This is by Alexis Hall. I'm just excited because holy crap, the news is depressing. It is really hard to be a trans child right now, and a trans educator, and just trans in general in society, and so seeing some stuff with joy is good. Moving on, the next prompt was Choose Your Own. Book that I chose for this was A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows. The description is: Veseline never planned to marry at all, let alone a girl from a neighboring kingdom. When an ugly confrontation reveals his preference for men, Vel fears he's ruined the diplomatic union before it's even begun. But while his family is ready to disown him, the envoy has a different solution: for Vel to marry his former intendant's brother instead. So I honestly did not read past the never planned to marry and then when an ugly confrontation reveals his preference for men. I didn't read past that. And I'm very excited for this. I really like arranged marriage tropes. I really like that trope. And this is like it's a queer fantasy, and it really caught my eyes in bookstores, in the bookstore that I bought it at. Yeah, I'm very, very, very simple to please in that retrospect. So yeah, this is just my excuse to read this book. The next prompt is M-Spec. So this is like multiple attraction spectrum. So that's basically the umbrella of bi. And for that, I chose This Poison Heart by Caitlin Barron. I don't know what this is about. I bought this because I liked Cinderella's Not Dead. I think that was the title. Yeah. And I saw that it was queer. And that was all I needed to pick this up. So the description on the back reads, Barissus has a gift. With a single touch, she can grow plants from tiny seeds to rich blooms. When her aunt dies and leaves her dilapidated estate in rural New York, Bree and her parents hope that maybe surrounded by plants and flowers, Bree will finally learn to control her gift. But their new home is sinister and in ways they never expected. It comes with a mysterious set of instructions, like a walled garden filled with the world's most lethal botanicals. There is more to Bree's sudden inheritance than she could have ever imagined. She is determined to uncover it. And this is an enchanting story about a young woman with a unique and deadly power. So that's this one. I am also excited for this. The next prompt that we had was a history. So I chose to go like the historical route, and I'm going with Remnants of Filth. This is by Rubal Buchru. This is set in the same universe as The Husky and His White Cat Shizen by the same author, which I have not read because all of them haven't come out yet. I have made the executive decision recently that I won't start reading these books until all of them are published, and by these books I mean EmmaAbe Books, which are essentially Chinese gay literature. And I have been buying them like crazy. I will insert a picture here of my Don May shelf, which my students are all very jealous of. So a lot of those series are like not finished publishing, which is fine, but I have made the decision that I don't want to pick up like another book in any of the series that I've started so far until they're all finished publishing, because I will want to continue reading them and I won't have self-control, and then I will have to wait for months, and that will make me sad. So this is the only volume in this series, and this is about, it's about Mo Shi and Mu Guang. Sorry, that is so not correct. I like smashed the things. Guma. And they are best friends, lovers, battle companions, right? But then Gu Mong decides to be a turncoat and switch sides and leaves. Several years later, he returns. Mo Shi has to deal with that. And I was so excited when I read that description, and I'm very excited to read this. I probably would be picking this one up next once I finish this Scum Villains Self-Saving System, which is a series I'm currently finishing because on the last book that has been published. So I'm super excited for this one. Yeah, and just the art is beautiful on this. The next book is a host recommendation. And so for that one, I decided to go with the Sunbearer Trials. This is by Aiden Thomas. I really loved Cemetery Boys. I saw this one was going to be inspired by folklore and like mythology, and I got really excited. And it's gay. And yeah, I have a very low bar. So this one, ooh, it has a map on the inside. Cool. So you have the description on the sleeve says, as each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the chaotic obsidian gods at bay. Sol selects 10 of the most worthy semidioses to compete in the Sun-Bearer trials. The winner carries the light of life to all temples in the Reino del Sol, but the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to the Sol, their body melted down to refuel the sunstones, protecting the world for another 10 years. Theo, a 17-year-old Jade semidios and trans son of the goddess of birds, isn't worried about the trials, at least not for himself. His best friend Naya, I'm not sure, is a gold semidios and a shoo-in for the trials. While he trusts her abilities, in the odds of becoming a sacrifice to the is 1 in 10. But then, for the first time in over a century, the impossible happens. Sol chooses not 1, but 2 Jade competitors, Theo and Shu, the 13-year-old child of a god of bad luck. Now they must compete in the 5 trials against the gold opponents who are most powerful and better trained. Worst of all, Theo's annoyingly handsome ex-best friend, Aurelio, is favored to win. Theo is determined to get himself and his friends through the trials unscathed for fame, for glory, and their own survival. So this one looks exciting to me as well. I picked this up a long time ago. And by a long time ago, I mean last year. The next book I chose was for the category of memoir. And for that, I chose The Secret to Superhuman Strength. This is by Alison Bechdel. I don't know what this is about. Alison Bechdel wrote Fun Home, which I read earlier this year. What does this one say? Oh, look at the inside. That's so pretty. So this says, comics and cultural superstar Alison Bechdel delivers a deeply layered story of her fascination from childhood to adulthood, with every fitness craze to come down the pike, from Jack Lanan in the 60s, outlandish jumpsuit, cantaloupe-sized guns, to the existential oddness of pre-pandemic spin class. Readers will see their athletic or semi-active pasts flash before their eyes through the ever-evolving panoply of running shoes, bicycles, skis, and sundry other gear. I can't read today. But the more Bechdel tries to improve herself, the more herself appears to be the thing in her way. She turns for enlightenment to Eastern philosophers and literary figures, including beat writer Jack Kerouac, whose search for self-transcendence is the great outdoors and appears in moving conversation with the author's own. This gifted artist and not getting any younger exerciser comes to a soulful conclusion. The secret to superhuman strength lies not in six-pack abs, but in something much less clearly defined, facing her own non-transcendent but all-important interdependence with others. That was a description that was very difficult for me to read, unfortunately, but that is this one. The next prompt is crime, and I had a different book picked out, but then I was pulling the books to show you, and I found a different one that I thought would be really, really cool. So I switched very last minute, and the one I'm deciding to go with is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is queer and about a mafia. So, need you say more? I've been wanting to read this series for a very long time, and this is the only one I have in the series, and for a while I was like, okay, you're not allowed to purchase books like the rest of the series until you've at least read one book in the series, which is a problem because I bought all of the Poppy War series without reading any of them. So I'm gonna try to not do that again. But this one, the description is, for centuries, honorable green bone warriors have used magical jade to enhance their abilities and defend the island of Ketcon from foreign invasion. Now the war is over and a new generation vies for control of Ketcon's bustling capital city. 4 siblings of the powerful Cole family must prepare for battle, and the fragile peace between the clans is about to break. So this one I heard a lot of people talking about. I know it's queer, don't know how it's queer, and it's about mafia, and I was like, okay, cool. It fits in with my hairstyle today, apparently. Yeah, so that's this one. The next prompt was for a non-binary or NB author or main character, and for this one I went with Phoenix Extravagant. This is by Yoon-Ha Lee, and this is a book that I picked up fairly recently into my coming out, so I bought it as kind of like comfort. I was dealing with my parents can be difficult because they don't get it. They do not get it. And I don't know at all if this is what it's about, other than there's a really cool dragon on the cover. So the back says Kim Jebi isn't a fighter or subversive. They just want to paint. One day they're jobless and desperate. The next, Jebi finds himself recruited by the Ministry of Armor to paint the mystical sigils that animate the occupying government's automation soldiers. But when Jebi discovers the depths of the Zeni government's horrifying crimes and the awful source of the magical pigments they use, they find they can no longer stay out of politics. What can they do to... What they can do is steal Azrari, the Ministry's mighty dragon automation, and find a way to fight. The next book that I picked up is for the prompt intersectionality, which just basically means like intersectional identities, you know, so like being queer and like a person of color or disabled, or all of these other ways that you can be intersectional. So this book I went with To Paradise. This is by Hagna Yahiginara. Sorry, doing my best. And this actually a coworker of mine said was just depressing. And I was like, that seems about par of the course for this author. It is very large. I did start it. I got a couple of chapters in, not too far. So I figured that this would be a perfect excuse for me to finish reading this book eventually, if I can get to it. I'm obviously being very ambitious in my TBR, but we will see. But this basically follows 3 sections, and I'll read you a little bit of the thing at the beginning. It says, an alternative version of 1893 America. New York is part of the free states where the people may live with and love whomever they pleased, or so it seems. The fragile young scion of a distinguished family resists the betrothal to a worthy suitor, down to a charming music teacher of no means. In 1983, Manhattan is besieged by the AIDS epidemic. A young Hawaiian man lives with his much older, wealthier partner, hiding his troubled childhood and the fate of his father. And in 2093, in a world riven by plagues and governed by totalitarian rule, a powerful scientist's damaged granddaughter tries to navigate life without him and solve the mystery of her husband's disappearances. There's more description, but if I try to read more description, I won't be able to read. The next book that prompt is folklore, and for folklore, I've decided to go with The Salt Grows Heavy. This is by Cassandra Caw. Just look at that art. I was really excited when I saw this. I was really intrigued. I don't know what this is about, so we're going to read the short inside flap, so maybe I will be able to pronounce things. You may think you may know how the fairy tale goes. A mermaid comes to shore and weds a prince. But what the fables forget is that the mermaids have teeth. Now her daughters have devoured the kingdom and burned it to ashes. On the run, the mermaid is joined by a mysterious plague doctor and with a darkness of their own. Deep in the eerie, snow-crested forest, the pair stumble upon a village of ageless children who thirst for blood, and the 3 saints who control them. The mermaid and her doctor must embrace the cruelest parts of their true natures if they hope to survive. So this is a horror, and that is exciting to me. It's also very short. It's like a novella length, so that is nice, because I've chosen some very long books, and I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them. We'll see. The next book that I chose is for the prompt continuation, and for that I chose to interpret it as continuing the work of an author that I have enjoyed, and or a world that I've seen before. And that is The Ocean's Echo. This is by Everina Maxwell. I really, really liked Winter's Orbit. It was one of my favorite books of last year. So I'm hoping that Ocean's Echo is as good. I don't know what this is about. So we have a rich social life, and a flirt, and walking disaster. He can read minds. Like all neuromodified readers, is a security threat on his own. When controlled, readers are a rare asset. Not only can they read minds, they can navigate chaotic space and the maelstorms surrounding the gateway to the wider universe. Conscripted into the military under dubious circumstances, he is placed in the care of a lieutenant, a duty-bound soldier, a principal leader, and the son of the notorious traitor general. Whereas the reader can read minds, the soldier can't influence them. Like all neuromodified architects, he can impose his will on others, and he's under orders to control the soldier by merging their minds. So that's the first couple of paragraphs, and I did not attempt the names because I will butcher the frick out of them. So that is this one. I'm very excited to return to that universe. The next book is going to fulfill the prompt of short stories, and for that I chose The Gathering Dark. These are like horror fairy tale retellings, and that's very exciting to me. It's a series of short stories, or at least it's folk horror, specifically. This is written by a bunch of different people, and this does not have an audiobook, so we'll see how that goes. The last one of the books that I own is for the prompt Sapphic, and for that I decided to go with Clash of Steel. This is a Treasure Island remix, so this is a Sapphic retelling of Treasure Island. And I've not read Treasure Island, but I've really been enjoying this series of remixes. I've read one before, but I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite books of last year, so I'm hoping that this one lives up to the hype, and I'm just excited. I am just excited for this one. That's this one, and the very last one is about queer joy. That is the prompt, and so for that I decided to go with the Chandelier Legacies? I can't read my own handwriting. And this is by Abdi Nazemian, and I read Like a Love Story and I loved it, so that's why I decided to go with this one. And I believe this is based off of their time in boarding school, and yeah, I am super excited to read that one as well. So there are my choices for the Queer Lit Readathon. I don't know if I will get to all 16 of these. I will see. I will make a valiant attempt. Maybe I will get a head start in the month of May on some of the longer ones. Who knows what the rest of May has in store for me. But let me know what if you are deciding to join the Queer Lit Readathon, and what books you are excited to read for the Queer Lit Readathon. All right, have a lovely day. Goodbye.